Welcome to the TikTok Boom podcast. Or should I say it again? TikTok Boom podcast. My name is Lassie Potts and I work with people on turning their purpose in life into a successful business. Each week, I will be bringing an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating and living a life full of energy, gratitude, action, and happiness. And today, I'm going to be sharing about my story for the last, I don't know, ever how long I'm going to share it for. But we're going to go back a bit in time to last year. And I'm going to take you back to the fact that I'm no stranger of podcasts. So if this is your first one, hi, welcome. If not, then you might want to circle back a few years ago to a lockdown, April 2020, when I decided to stop procrastinating and get out and release my first podcast. And that was the Progressive and Mindset podcast. I then ran that for over a year and a half, and it's definitely showing the power of the domino effect, where just showing up week after week and suddenly you instantly have 52 episodes after a year. Amazing. So I then committed to shaping that around looking at where I was going with my business and the fact that I probably pivoted and changed my niche about 7 times. I remember being told by a coach once, Nat, you're not going to pivot anymore. This is it. But I did, and I changed, and I looked to work with more leadership people, and you look at the corporate side of coaching that I've done. And I'm not going to share the story on where I've come from with coaching, corporate and that, because you can go back and listen to those podcast episodes. But I want to just go back to the fact that you can change things. There's no right or wrong. There's no roadmap or book of life or how you got to do things. Just go with it. So what if you change your niche? So what if you change your branding and things? Who cares? I often say date your niche and have some fun with it and apply that mindset to other things. However, I do know you have to at some point call it and commit. But don't give yourself a hard time for changing things up and just going with the flow. So for today, I want to talk around really accountability is so important in life, and it's really been something I've been thinking about and focusing on recently of working with clients. I spend a majority of my time holding people to account to take action on what they want in life, but I realised this week that I've been procrastinating about getting back on track and doing this podcast. It's been on my agenda for months, it's been on my pad for months, and I'm bored of it. I'm bored of saying next, or I'll do that next week, or I'm brainstorming it. I've got a plan for it. I've just thought, actually today I'm going to get back and do it and just roll it out. I'm no stranger as well to talking very transparently about my life. I see nothing as solo, so I talk around life, business and wellness. So, if you want to find out more, you can go to my website, all the boring stuff, look at the funnels and all that jazz, and I feed you through what I do. But basically, I'm telling you here that nothing is solo. We can't have one area that is not going well for us and it not ripple effect and impact the other. It's just not possible. So on December 7th last year, I was signed off with depression. And for some people that know me really well and very close to me, they know the journey I've gone through. And I was told that day by a doctor that I was being sent to hospital for tests because I was a really complex case. I was really low. I was not eating well. I was drinking a lot, and I was asking for help. And the cry for help was to my parents, which was probably the worst place you would ever think to go for me. Not from a point that, my parents aren't supportive, just from the point that they really are, and how much I felt I was letting them down by being like, and saying I need help on December the 6th with my mum, and just horrific, for me that was my rock bottom. Everybody's version of this will be different for sure. And some people, for me, I know I can look at it and think it's not compared to what other people have in life for sure, completely. But for me, it was. And this wasn't just a moment in time. This was like years of building up, right? And to a degree, I'd never liked the word trauma, but I think there was loads of things that had happened the last few years that were just building up into this moment where I was like, I need help. And I was being monitored that week for severe mental health, so referred straight away. The only good thing was that I got through the doctor's stuff really quickly and onto the right people at a quicker pace. And then that got me straight into therapy quite quickly. But back in August, I was given a promotion. So again, if you know a little bit about my story, I've worked somewhere for I've worked for a top four supermarket retailer for 19 years. And when I say it to people, they're like, how old are you? And I'm 34. So I joined as a kid. I was 16 when I got my first Saturday job. And then I just stayed. I stuck about and did what everybody is told not to do. And I did uni and everything as well, had a drama degree, and it worked at 21. I loved it. I loved the fact that I then became a manager at 21, and I was leading people and I was leading teams, and I loved the responsibility. It was fun. It was hard. The good days were amazing. The low days were pretty crap, but isn't that life? The highs are high and the lows are low. And so I've worked my way up, and in August I had this opportunity, and I thought, okay, well, what if, why don't I go for it? What have I got to lose? And I'd actually been asked it a few years previous to that, and I declined and said I didn't want it. It wasn't the right timing with everything that was going on in my life. But again, I'm going to share this because I'm really big on being authentic and vulnerable, and for the hope from that it will inspire other people to take action and look at their life and think that if they're feeling lonely, lost, or unable to decide what to do next, or they're procrastinating, that life's too short, and just get out there and get started and take action today. And if it inspires you to do one action, then that's a win. So I am transparent and I'm trying my best to be more vulnerable. But I was essentially required to do 3 months of a sign-off period. So you have to achieve, like you do in the corporate side of things, you have to achieve certain metrics, KPIs, and you get visits, and you get presentations. You have to do all of that stuff, just numbingly boring. And I was being mentored by a senior leader, so all around my personal development, which is a brilliant opportunity. Loved it, learning so much, had a real energy about it. I was working 60 hours a week, but I was giving everything to it. I was like, I know that. And I said to myself, I remember saying to a friend, if I didn't get through this, she was like, stop talking like that. And I was like, oh, okay. But I needed to really think about what that looked like. So by November, I'd achieved, all my targets. I was passing them all. I was bloody loving it. I had a great plan. I had my presentation, and I was due to be presenting to 2 directors. Everyone around me, all my peers, you got this and that. And bear in mind, I was in a very male environment. So I was only female out of 20 store managers on one region. So I've been told, you got this and that, you got to go for it. And I was physically like at the point of 0 in the tank for mental, physical and emotional state here, right? But I was like, I'm going to dig deep. I'm really going to give everything and showcase my journey with directors. And I was proud, right? I was really proud of all the personal development work. 4 senior leaders endorsed my journey. And so look, I did the presentation and I didn't pass. And I was absolutely distraught. I was actually sitting where I'm sitting right now doing this podcast to you on a Friday evening. And on, I think it was the 19th of November. I think it was my mum's birthday, actually, because the day before was the presentation day, the 18th. And my parents are away, so it didn't help, because I'm very close with my parents. And, I rang them distraught. And I rang some real custodian, people that had really supported me and helped me. And he inspired me in terms of I valued their opinion afterwards, and they were gutted for me as well. And I shared that information with my line manager around the fact I didn't pass, and I just sat there, and the power of silence. And as a coach, I love silence. I think I love being comfortable in it as well. And I said, he was like, obviously what they want to do is, well, he said it wasn't a fail, but they want to continue for another 3 months. And I just said, yeah, I don't think I can do that. And it was just silent. I mean, it must have been silent for like 5 seconds, but it felt like a whole 2 minutes. And he was like, oh, you need to come see me tomorrow. We need to go through this. And I said, okay, I'll do that. But I'm not in a good place at the minute. And I need to think what's right for me. And, you have all the great stuff, like people messaging you, hope you do really well, let me know how you get on. And I just messaged a group that we had, and I just said, look, all your kind comments, thanks. I just need to let you know I didn't pass, and I need to take some time out. So if you message me, I won't be replying for a bit, because I need to understand this and work out what's right for me. And I did all the stuff I'm pretty good on, like I threw in all of the value behaviours and said where I sat with those at that moment in time. One of our value behaviours was be human. So I just thought, right, okay, I need you to be human with me, guys, and just help me out here and give me some space. And I then spent the next 2 weeks and spent a bit of time thinking about what I really wanted. And I decided, no, I don't want this anymore. This worked at 21. It doesn't work at 34. If I'm really honest with myself, I hate it. And I really need to work out what's right for me for long term, because I've got another 30 years plus of work, and I don't want to just see stuff as work. I want to see it that I love what I do every day. I have this unique energy about me and drive for life and passion, and that I really think a focus on gratitude the last few years, and that you have to really invest in making every day the best it can be. Not to the point that, you live your life like that. Otherwise, I'd probably just be eating sweets every day and chucking back the gin every night. But yeah, I was gutted, and I had some time out for holiday, which was great. And then I was like, no, I'm going to go back. And I've really thought about this, and I just want to step back down and go and do life, because after 2 years of a pandemic, why am I putting myself through this? For what? The money absolutely was real compelling for me and a real driver. But again, it was a check in myself of money doesn't equal happiness. And I had the experience of having to go and share it with this place, store I was running, and it was just too much. And I'm that person I think people look at and think she's really strong, she's got her shit together, she's fine, and they'll ask you, how are you doing? It's like, yeah, I'm great, how are you? And then they just go off on one. And that's not right or wrong, it's just a little bit of sometimes how I can see it. And but I love that as well, because I just think, oh, bless them, and I'll always try and listen and help everybody. But I was needing help, and I wasn't asking for help. It was just too much. It was too much to share that with people, and to not have it go down well, and to not know where to go, and to not know who to talk to. And I always say I'm isolated, not lonely. I don't feel lonely. I live on my own, and I'm not in a relationship with anybody because I don't choose to be. I think you've got to really be happy with yourself first. And I guess there comes a point in that where maybe you're never going to be 100% as well, and don't let that hold you back. But I feel isolated at times. So it'd be nice to share things with someone, experience some stuff. And sometimes you just don't know who to talk to about things. And it's not about that I don't have an amazing network, in a circle, that I call them, around me that do listen. But that day I was lost and didn't know what to do. And I had an experience, and do you know what? I've shared it with some real friends close, but I'm not quite ready to share that story yet. And I think that's part of this as well, that I'm crafting my own story. I know that I've got lots to work on, but I know that I'm really great at some things as well. And I think that we need to amplify what we're great at more, on our strengths, and get out there and keep working and practicing and mastering our craft to be better. And that's where I'm at the moment. That my story isn't crafted. I have the narrative there, but I don't know how to share it. And I'm working that out. I would love one day to, and I'm going to share this with people. I want to be on a TED stage, and I want to be sharing this, but I've got to have my unique one big idea that's going to change things up and is innovative. And that's part of this. When I look back over that period of time, I'd become like, I'd lost all emotion. If you pricked me, I wouldn't feel it. And I recognised that the month before, when I'd take my niece swimming every other week, and I sat there with her, and it's a beautiful moment, but I was like, I'm just not having fun. I love being in the moment with her, but this isn't fun. I feel nothing. I'm just thinking about work. And I hated that. And I hated the fact that I had no concentration. I'd lost my focus, and I couldn't really think about what I really wanted. And there was no fun. I wasn't doing anything else. I wasn't seeing my friends. I was just literally going gym, work, gym, home. That was my routine. And I committed to that. That was my decision. And I have to take responsibility for that to a degree. But that was the point. Everything I was saying was like, I take responsibility for that, because you're conditioned in a corporate environment to own it, take accountability all the time on stuff that isn't maybe what you actually believe in. And that's when you get this internal conflict, like this battle inside you. And that's what really was hitting me, that my life wasn't being lived according to my values. None of it. I wasn't seeing friends or family. My health wasn't good. My fitness wasn't good. I wasn't learning new things. I couldn't think clearly. There was so much coming down at me all the time. My concentration was just zero. I remember saying that to my line manager, that I said, I just don't think anymore. I'm not creative. And I really struggle, that I'm really tough on myself about not seeing myself as creative. And again, like I shared earlier, where I've got a degree in drama, that's like my DNA when I was a kid. Like, I loved being out there. That's a vibrancy. And a few years ago, I had rapid transformational therapy. If you've seen it, there's an amazing therapist, Marissa Peer, out there. She does all of the big celebrities now. But if you Google RTT, it's an amazing form of therapy that involves a bit of meditation, mindfulness. Basically, it puts you into a hypnosis as well. That's the main thing that I love about it. But what I'll experience through that time when I'm with a RTT practitioner is that they'll take me back to moments in my life. Well, actually, it's one person I have, and she'll take me back to moments, and she's like, this idea is going to come to you, and you're going to remember a past memory, and you're going to be in that moment. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm nowhere near there. And then all of a sudden, it comes into your mind. It's amazing. And every time I've had it a couple of times now, I've ended up in tears at moments. And I really remember the point in the last time I had it where I was in floods of tears, because she took me back to a time where she was like, when are you really unhappy? And I was like, at work. And she goes, what's going on? I said, I'm tense. And I could feel it all in my behaviour as I was lying in this state, hypnotic state with her. And she was like, why? Again, before that, she was like, why are you crying? And I said, because I'm just not happy. I hate it. I feel myself tense. I don't like the environment. And yeah, I'm frustrated, and it's not creative. And then she said, like, took me back to the time when you are. And she was like, where are you? I was like, I'm on the drama stage, the spotlight's in the middle. I'm just about to go on and perform. I've got this buzzing adrenaline running through me, and I'm absolutely hyped about getting on that stage and just doing some improv. And that really upset me, because I never get that feeling anymore, ever. Nothing does it for me in life, I guess. And that was really tough. But basically, I was just feeling in December that I'd lost all of that. And I didn't want to go on meds. And actually, it wasn't up for discussion with the doctor anyway. Like I said, they put me through tests just to check where I was with everything, because my eating was really bad and I was drinking more. And that surprised my mum. And that was a bit of a shock, having to reveal that. I was just probably drinking a bottle a night and a couple of gins, and then that had knocked me out, and then woohoo, we'll start the day again, and we'll just do that Groundhog Day stuff that we can do, and we just become autopilot. And I've got to stop saying sorry, but there we go. I remember being told by the doctor, stop the alcohol now, and you're not going on meds, we're going to work through this. And I always say that you've got to pay attention to things in life, and there's signs, and you've then got to have the awareness to know what they mean, understand and unpack what they mean to you. And one of the points that was coming to my awareness was that I didn't need to have medication, but I did want to work through stuff and understand it. And Johan Hari's book came about to me. I'd actually bought it through a recommendation of in a book that I had. And it was sitting on my shelf, and it's called Lost Connections. And I was like, I'm a part of his Patreon group as well now. Johan Hari, if you follow him, he's a phenomenal mindset, this guy. So basically, I pay to be a part of his group to help him just go out there and research and study to then do more books. But I love it because he shares where he's at and his journey every single month with us on there. And the book I recommend it to everybody that's either going through depression or, everybody should just read this bloody book, because it's amazing. And I did my whole thing of, highlighting everything, note it down. I think I've got even those little inserts where it just draws me back to certain bits in it. And he talks a lot about environment. He talks a lot about the experiences that it's over time, and that there'll be these triggers and their events, but it's just been building. He'll talk about trauma. He'll talk about the fact we don't need meds, and that most of the meds are just formed around the fact that it's all funded by pharmaceutical companies that want you to have it and everything. There's so much, and I'm not sitting here saying that meds haven't got a place for people, because absolutely they have, but is it more around some of it, the mindset as well? And that's what he discusses and explores in it as well, and our serotonin levels, everything. So it's a really interesting read, and there's one study in it, and I'll share this because I think it's really interesting to focus on. But if you go, and there was a study done in Canada, and it kind of just faded away and no one picked it up. But basically what they did is they gave a certain group of people the average like £19,000 for a year. And they said, if you could have the comfort of knowing that everything in your life, the basics of, like psychological safety and a hierarchy of needs was there. So you could pay for your bills and you could have food and you could go and do what you absolutely loved in life, that more people would take risks and do their passion and or their find their purpose in life. And actually offered that, you would get higher performance out of people because they were actually doing something that they loved every day. So there is so many research studies in there like that, and the power of connection and community and being with others. And again, like going back to the needs that we have in life and our expectations, it's a phenomenal read. But that book just came to me. It was like on my shelf and needed at that time. And I read it the whole of Christmas, and I guess I was that people have judgment or opinions or views on the word depressed, but I guess I was unable to quantify time, or to, somebody asked me out for a walk, I'd be like, no, I couldn't commit to anything. And laughing at something, I would then instantly pull myself and just end up in tears, because I was like, why am I able to laugh at something when I've been through a crap time and I shouldn't be feeling that way? I don't deserve that. I deserve to almost like punish myself and feel crap. And it was really hard. So Christmas was tough, New Year was tough, and then I nipped the alcohol in the bud for 6 weeks. I didn't drink a drop. And I've done it before. I did it years ago when I was doing a fitness shoot. I just didn't drink for about 6 months now, I think. And it really helped. But I was conscious of not being so black and white and everything, and the idea of perfectionism that I've sometimes had. But I was fearing a bit then of the idea that if I went down the sobriety route, which I looked at, I went to a couple of events in January, which were in London, to meet people who were like 2 years sober and everything, and made a decision not to drink anymore. And they were amazing events. And I met some one group of ladies on one time, and we all went to a big spin class and we went for brunch. And it was lovely, and I was meeting different people. And then I went to a place which was nice, but it was very cliquey, and it didn't feel like it was my kind of person. But I was like, I want to just get out there and see who's there. You've got to find your people sometimes. They're not always around you. And I, listened to people that were trying as well to stop drinking alcohol, but I was very conscious that do you know what the ideal is to have moderation and be able to have balance. And I struggle with this word balance. I just also started private therapy every week, and I was just due to start therapy with NHS, looking at a CBT program around relationships and ways I have, some bad eating things. So I was looking at that, and it was intense, the two of them together. Now, luckily, my private therapist is, again, I believe like she's come to me at the right point. Our first meeting together, she was absolutely phenomenal. And I just felt such a connection, and I could be honest, and I could be vulnerable, and she made me feel safe. We looked at the terms of like, over the last, I think we've worked together for nearly 4 months. We've been working through things like what balance means, what boring is, laziness means to me. We've looked at the fact that I'm all or nothing, and what is moderation, and how do I slow down, speed up. The fact that I give myself such a hard time, and I push things down and don't talk things through, and looking at pockets of my life where it stems from. Is it from younger childhood? I had a very good upbringing, and part of that was that. It's like, I don't want to ever blame my upbringing. She's like, you don't need to talk about your parents like it's a disclaimer every time. We know you have a great relationship. We're not going to impact that, but we could maybe reveal some things that will help, and we can look at to address whether they're holding you back to move forward. So yeah, like I respect her in that, and that's really important for me. It's one of my strongest values is respect. So we get on really well, to the point now where we laugh at things, and I have moments where I can be in a type of emotion where I'll be burst into tears, but then I signify those as that's meant a lot to me. I've really needed to get to that place and think about it. And it's been hard, but nothing's easy when we're looking at ourselves. That's why people don't want to do personal development, and people don't really want to get coaches, because they're not really invested in change of themselves, or they think that's going to be really hard, and I am what I am. But actually, we can all change. We do have that ability to look at who we are and become what we want to be. But we've got to make that happen. So moving on from that, I think time's been a big one. I think space. I did so much around nature, and I was logging it. I was writing loads down, therapy. I was doing loads of videos and recording it, and I've saved it to I've actually done a private Instagram page that I won't share with people at the minute, and I don't, but it's been a log for me because I like I always think about what do I do really well, and how can I use those strengths in other areas of my life to help me. And one thing I do well is just log things on Instagram. I love it. I see it like a bit of a blog type thing, which is actually essentially what Instagram should be. But I've done my own page now to keep a log of everything and see the journey part and be able to see myself. And I shared videos on there and everything. So it's been useful for me to have something live and transferable, but also, in the moment with things. So it will help me reflect back on that, and I can repurpose that content, right, for however I feel fit in the future. So it's all valuable. And I was sharing on there loads around nature, and I was like, why do we really need nature? And a lot of this was in that book Lost Connections, that when we are away from nature, that's when things can really compound and hurt us and impact as well to move forward. So I googled it. I was like, why are people so able to feel better in nature? And part of it is the fact that we just have less distractions. So when we're on our phone, we think we get over 30,000 thoughts a day. 30,000 thoughts a day. Like, what is that about? And when you go into nature, a lot of that just diffuses, and you can think and you can see things clearly, and I become more creative. It's like the idea I have now of, I'm not going to work 60 hours every week. I'm going to work doing what I love, and that is 60 hours, great, but I'm not going to set out like I was in that routine and that structure in corporate, because it was draining, it was boring, it was dull, and it was hard. But like putting back holiday, like you need your holiday, you need time off to think, and it becomes a non-negotiable and thing, like you cannot afford not to do it. You need time out, and that's when I'm most creative. And this is what I was seeing happen in my walks and everything. I was slowing down and really looking at things and unpacking it and exploring and asking myself some tough questions. And I love that when I can be in that space. It's really powerful. But I want to just move on in terms that in some ways the time frame from December to now is short, and in some ways it's really long. But it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. What matters is that I've moved forward, and that space and that time has worked for me, and it's been giving me what I need in terms of being able to make some really big decisions in my life and turn things around. And I don't know, maybe get a hold of myself. It's been enough time for me, and I trust myself a lot, and I listen to what I think and believe in myself a lot, and I have to use that now. And I have an idea that sometimes we're never going to be there yet, right? So I remember years ago when I'd been through years ago I had a bit of time off of burnout and exhaustion. Well, they deemed it as exhaustion, but I was doing stupid stuff. I was doing I was doing a fitness shoot, so I was eating like minimal calories, as you know. I think it was like 900 calories a day, 1,000 calories, and I was doing loads of fitness. I was tired, I was working full time. It was just too much. And again, it was like all or nothing, intense, push everything down. And I was just like, is this cycle what it's like in life? Is this what's going to happen every 2 years? Because I don't want this. I don't want this life every 2 years. This isn't what I want, and I don't think this is what I should be having or anyone should have. But I've really explored that and looked at it, and I've come to ideas now about the fact of, after that I went in to do some volunteering for Shout Crisis, and obviously they say you've got to have a mental state and emotional state where you can help others, and yours has got to be in check and look after yourself too. But there's part of it that there's this idea around, especially when you give back to others, they call it the helper's high. When you get a high off of helping somebody else that's in a really severe place. And and I'm absolutely a massive mental health advocate, but I can never say I've ever had thoughts of hurting myself. And I've always been really open about that. I've never had a thought of taking my life. I haven't. And I guess I'm glad that I haven't. But I have had thoughts where I'm like, life would be easier if sometimes we could just cut this shit. I think we've all had that, but never the intention, time frame, like the mindset to go and actually, how would I do it? I haven't had that. But I was working with people on that, and sometimes we need to help others, and we need to know that we're never going to be there yet, but we've got to go on a journey of seeking that, and that can help us too, and you've got to manage yourself, but be aware that maybe you've just got to go the flow and less pressure on it, and just trust how you feel on things and your intuition. And that's how I feel on this the last few months, that, you know, I am able to laugh at things and I have fun, and I found a shift in what I wanted to do, and I've looked at life and what I want, and I talk to people that I trust and that are key people in my life who really have, you know, believe in me, that offer good advice, that listen. And I make that inner circle really small, and I've connected with different people, and I've got out there and connected with other worlds as well. Like I said, getting out there and seeing if it's the sobriety what I want to do, and it's not because I'm really scared actually that it would invite me to be all or nothing, and I don't want to be all or nothing with alcohol. I like it. I like having a few drinks like I have over the weekend with family, but I want to be able to moderate. I can have 2 and then I'm happy in that. So, and I think I'll get there with balance on that. I just want to be a bit more mature and let it go that it has to be perfect. It has to be this or nothing now, and just seeing what it does. And I love therapy. I'm going to continue to do therapy. We do it every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's like a download. And this is like a form of therapy for me. You know, writing down stuff and doing a podcast is a form of therapy for me. It really works. I know I've heard that of other people, how it can be too. Basically, I've shifted my whole life around. I've left corporate and I've been established as a coach. I've had my business since 2018. I've been coaching and qualified since then. I joined the Coaching Academy back in 2015. And I do work with coaching, like I shared with you at the start, around helping people turn their purpose into a successful business. I'm also noticing I do a lot of mentoring, and I'm also building a community of people and nurturing those relationships and helping people and offering value and giving back. And I'm loving it. And I've invested in a one-to-one coach, because you can't be a coach without having your own coach. That's just a fact. And I've also got a business coaching mastermind that I'm working with, and I've just started both of them. They both complement one another and fit, which was really important. I have so much energy. I'm making big audacious goals, and I'm saying things like I'm going to be on that stage one day, sharing my story and doing my thing, and I will. I'm still crafting and changing my story and narrative and how I do it, and I'm loving it. And I need to refine my vision on things. And I was asked at the business mastermind the other week. I had no intention of signing up for a year with them actually. I've made some huge investments the last 3 weeks, but I think you've got to take big risks in life. And I know people say that you are a risk taker. My view is that I don't think I am. I think that you take the risk if you stay doing something you hate. That's a risk. So there's a lady, I can't remember her second name, Brenny Ware or something. She's in Australia. She was a nurse, and she did a study with people as they were on their final few days in the world, in life, and she did a study to find out what their regrets were. And the number one regret they had in life was that they didn't live a life true to them, and that was of meaning. And I don't want that. I don't want to be regretting that, and I don't want that for anybody else either. And if I can be somebody that can help people through the skills that I have, and who I've become and who I intend to become, even, you know, as I grow and develop as a person now, then that's going to be an amazing achievement for me in life, and that will be happiness. That will be success. You know, that's success and happiness to me. And I think you've got to have a little bit of, you know, I have this ridiculous, so I do risk stuff. I have a ridiculous amount of self-belief, and people say that my dad says he's never met anyone that has so much self-belief. And I said, I don't know where I find it. It's just, I don't fear much. I'm very fearless. My biggest fear is not paying my mortgage, and that's just bricks and mortar. And part of that seems insane, but the reality is from that, it's my foundations, and it makes me feel safe. And I don't want to lose that security, whether it's right or wrong. You know, and I remember a couple of years back, my manager said, "Oh, is it payday?" And like loads of people around us were like, "Well, you lot earn too much if you think that you can ask questions like that. How do you not know it's payday?" But that's where we got ourselves to, that money comes in, pays the bills, and that's that. And you don't think twice about it. And I've had 19 years of a comfort blanket of getting paid every month. And for that to go, and I know it's money, but for that to go is bloody scary. And that makes me tense, because I've created a world where I am on my own, but I don't want to fall on other people. I want to take responsibility for myself, and I want to stand on my own 2 feet and make decisions and make them successful. So I do have that fear, But aside from that, I don't feel anything else. I don't feel judgment, because I think when somebody says something, it's probably validating what they think. And I had that a lot of the time when I was looking, in November, do I continue with this journey till February? I didn't want to, because I didn't respect the directors. They didn't give me feedback. It was all subjective. It was all about who Natty was as a leader and how she shows up. And I was like, but that's not what I'm being assessed on. I'm being assessed on whether I can deliver a job and do a job. And my leadership skills have been reviewed and endorsed by leaders above me, and you're the cherry on top. You shouldn't be the sign off to this. It's in that way. It was just a weird experience, and I didn't respect that person. And I have to respect people that I work for or work with in every capacity, and I didn't. So I know these things about myself. I know I am very self-aware as a person, but I don't want to be judged, and I don't feel that's right. And we need to be around people that inspire us. You shouldn't be around people that give us self-doubts or that criticize us or that make us feel, that impact our self-worth to make us feel absolutely worthless. That's just not right, that we should have people around us like that. And I remember at the time, anybody that kind of says you should be doing this, you should be doing that, sometimes it's because they're too fearful to take the action for themselves, and it's their validation and it's them talking for themselves and not you. So do a check-in with who's around you, what people are saying, and pay attention and be aware of that, and trust yourself more. You've got to trust yourself in that you know what's right for you, and have belief that you can achieve more. That I sat in front of those business guys every week and I was like, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know. I just know I need you. I need to ask for help more. I'm asking for help. This feels right. It sounds right. I know it's ticking the boxes of the basic stuff I need as establishing and moving the business forward with, the next big goals I've got. But I also know I need help on the things I don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And I need people to help keep me emotionally on track. I'm really fearful that when you work for yourself, I've worked with teams all my life. I thrive working with people. I don't want to just work on my own. So I'm aware of how I work and how to get the best out of myself. So you do need people around you. You can't do anything solo. You've got to embrace this. This is why I love the idea of a community and being like-minded people. And I always say a third of people have got to be where you want to be. A third of people have got to be where you are, and a third where you were. And you've really got to throw yourself into that and not being fearful around those people that are further where you are. Give value to them back. Be curious, be interested in them. You can learn just as much from them, and they can learn from you too. It works both ways. And it just, you find yourself in just a different energy buzz when you're with people that really want to change the world and have a big impact to make a difference in others' lives as well. And I love being with people like that. But sometimes, like I said before, you've got to find them. They're there. You just got to go out and find them. So sometimes I say that my beliefs, got to be a little bit deluded too. People have got to think you're a little bit crazy. Steve Jobs once said, the craziest people are the ones that change the world. And I think that, you need a bit of that, especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur. You have to have that. And I know that I've got the confidence. I'm very, very confident. And I want to use that into a way that's practical and helps others. And I know I believe in others. And I think that there's a part of confidence where you need people around you that believe in you, because there'll be people in your life, when you think about those times when you're most confident, it was often with someone behind you saying, I believe in you as well. So draw on those moments of strength, and when someone saw something in you where you might not have seen the whole part yourself or been able to see the future and what they see for you. And that's the power in coaches. They see potential in people that they work with, and sometimes you need a bit of that. You've got something, but you need for others to help you understand what that is. And that's what I love about what I do. And I want to be, with my confidence, authentic and true and honest and transparent, because people aren't honest anymore enough. And there's a lack of empathy in the world. And we need to slow down to really listen to people more and to serve people more, opposed to thinking, what do I take from it? And that's why I'm so big on, practicing and being in a place of a state of gratitude every single day with things, not just, I'm grateful for, I used to say things like, I'm grateful for getting up and brushing my teeth. I'm grateful for getting up every day. And I was like, this isn't what I want. I need to be absolutely living, breathing gratitude that I'm grateful for everything around me, everything that I have, and changing that mindset as well. And I want to, integrity is a big thing for me, that what I say is what I'll do. And that's really key. So the reason I called this TikTok boom is because boom's like my word. And when I was leading teams and people and managers and leaders, I'd always be like, boom. And it just has this energy about it, this word boom. I love it. And I say it a lot. And I was just like, right, it's got to be a part of me. And then I was having a great conversation with a friend last week because he's just thinking about doing a podcast out and called it a certain name. And I said, yeah, I don't like it. And he rang me up 2 days later and was like, Nat, you're the only person that doesn't like it. And I said, well, that's your reason to run with it. He said, what do you mean? I said, that's your reason, is that I don't quite think it's there. I said, but I want you to go and prove me wrong. And I want to be that person where you come back to me and say, see, I told you it was the right idea. Why not? I said, don't listen to everybody. Work out what you want to do and just do it yourself. Question why you've got to ask everybody and have their validation for you to go and do it. Just run with it. Some things will work and some things won't. But I decided that I was going to throw out to him the name of this as well. And he was like, why'd you call it that? And then he hasn't replied yet. But I was like, oh my God, why doesn't he like it? But that's why I'm probably going to run it as well. And also because TikTok is obviously related to time. And I write a lot around time. I work with a lot of clients around what does an ideal week look like, an ideal day, because everything's around time. And we've got to have plans. I don't think we need business plans. I think that holds any fluidity and creativity in life. And we could get hooked up and it could hold us back from opening those doors. Or actually, I think that if we need a really solid financial plan and no cash flow, for sure, you've got to know that stuff. So it's none of this rocking on Dragon's Den where they don't know their figures, which I find strange. You've got to know your business inside out from there, but don't get hooked up on plans. Just go with the flow and let things happen. That's when businesses scale and leverage and you move the needle and things become fun and you're inspired and you're creative. That's when the energy changes things. So there is a lot for me around time, and that we shouldn't be wasting any of our days, as I just shared around the gratitude. We need to really be taking every day as though in some ways we're making sure we live it true to ourselves and of meaning, and that you never know what could happen tomorrow. So TikTok was there, and then also a bit of the I was going to call it Tick Tick Boom, but then I thought I might get done for trademarking or patent or whatever because of the relation it has to the movie Tick Tick Boom, which is a great one. But that goes back to drama and my love for theatre and drama. And then I was just like, look, you've got to pay attention to this stuff. And for me, TikTok Boom, it's right, it's aligned. It's a bit of showing me everything with the boom and the time and the link back to drama. And that I remember searching in December around how can I get a job, and I was like, why do I need a job? Why don't I just go all out of my business? I absolutely love this, and if I believe in it, I can make it happen. I know I'm going to make it happen and make it a success, because I'm going to make the success a non-negotiable. But I was very much looking at drama jobs and in that industry, and I was like, but I can have this as a passion. It doesn't have to be that it's my purpose and that it's my job. It can be my passion, and know that I've come off track and not aligned to that, and that it's just drawing me back to that, because that helps when I'm, having maybe a tough time or down. Then that's when I would go to that. And it's a bit like I love going to cinema. Like I do it every Monday. It's my me time. It's my time. That's the first thing time. It's the first thing I do every week is plan in downtime, and when I'm seeing my friends and family, and when I'm having time just for me, because that is what I need. If I don't have that time, I'm not going to be performing at my best. So I have to make that a priority. And then everything else comes around that, clients, jobs, work, opportunities, all of that, reading, getting out, gym, everything comes after that. But time is our most valuable commodity. And we can't forget that. So there was the links there, and that's how TikTok Boom came about. So I don't intend on changing it now. I've changed my podcast name 3 times, and I'm going to run with it. And the purpose of this set is this series as such. Is that I want to welcome people on. I want to hear their stories and their narrative. I want them to be vulnerable. I want them to show authenticity and authority in their businesses that they share, or their journeys. And I think they can come from any walks of life. I don't want it to be certainly around just business or coaching. I've done series before where it's with coaches, and they're amazing, inspiring. But I want this more open than that. I want this not have a pressure. I want it to be that I love it. And if I inspire people to listen, amazing. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Move on. We're not for everybody. But the same as I'm not for everybody as a coach. And I've been really clear of who I can help and if I can help them. I'm not there to take someone's money. I'm there to help them move forward in life and take action and helpfully direct them to the place they need to go or be, if I can do. And it's, if it's not there, it's about, again, like businesses, relationships. It's about helping people. That's the aim, and serving them. So that's how that's come about. that's me sharing with you my journey a bit previously. I definitely need to do some work on crafting this better, but I will be hitting that TED stage one day for sure. And you can hear this right now and you can come back to it. And I might even use this in a TED talk, who knows? I'm very conscious of taking snapshots of my journey and saying, this is where I will be in time, and I'll be using those in part of the presentations. So you never know, right? That's the power of social media. If we make it work for us, it can be amazing as well. So there we go. I've held myself accountable. I've got one out there. I've not procrastinated. I was going to get this out in May and I've done it in April. Whoop, whoop. There's something about April and doing a podcast. That's when I started it back in 2020, although I did release it in May, but I did take the steps I needed to. So yeah, there we go. It's timing. See, I love it. I'm really into law of attraction, not from the point of real we can suddenly manifest good thoughts and it goes, but I do think that if you're positive, you and put that into the world, you attract positive back and you attract good things, and you think good thoughts, and that's you can change the world with that. So yeah, there we go. Have an amazing week, and do me a favor here, right? This is really important to me because I want to get out there more. I want to be bold. So thank you for listening, tuning in to TikTok Boom. I really hope you have taken some value. And if you have, then please take action today. I'm holding you accountable, and share this with someone you know needs to hear this episode right now. Share your feedback in your reviews because that helps get this across to more people, which is what I want to have as an impact. And hit that subscribe button so you keep up to date with all the new episodes. After all of that, go take action and make a difference to someone's life today, and have a great day.